All right, now we will introduce Steve Wooten. Steve is owner of Beatty Canyon Ranch in southeastern Colorado. Steve is former chair of the U.S. Roundtable for Sustainable Beef. He's also Environmental Stewardship National winner from 2021? 2020, in the COVID years. But his ranch is phenomenal. You're going to see some pictures from it today. Steve is hugely active in all things grazing management and supporting the producer community in empowering producers to learn and grow and build resilient operations. So really excited to have Steve here to share more with us. Please join me in welcoming Steve. Press down button.
To advance it. Well, thank you all for inviting me back again. I was pretty sure after last year that was it. I wouldn't get the invitation to come back, but appreciate it very much. I'm glad to be here today, and it's been a very informative day. We're located in southeast Colorado in a pretty rugged environment. Canyon lands separated by flat-top savannas and into canyon lands, but great cow-calf country for raising cows. And we've been there just short of 100 years. 2029 will be our 100th year for our family to be there. So I came home from college in 1979. My senior resource management grazing school was spoke by Alan Savory from out of Albuquerque, Holistic Resource Management. And I came home and I was excited to tell my uncle about that. I heard this different philosophy for how you manage your ground and manage your cows. And he said, that's right. And we're going to a school in Albuquerque in the summer. Well, that began a lifelong challenge for me to try to get ahead of my uncle in continuous learning. But we did go, and we heard about it, and we didn't jump to make any decisions. We wanted to learn some more. We wanted to take some time. We eventually spoke with others and went to Dave Pratt with the Ranching for Profit. And in 1990, we implemented a grazing management plan that changed. So we broke our herd into two herds. We had a mature herd of 3 to 10-year-old cows, and then we combined the yearlings and the first calf heifers, which were nutritionally similar to the second herd. So we had 2 rotations that we were learning on at that time. And as we've heard, you can't manage what you don't measure. And we started with handwritten and simple 100-foot transects to try to get an idea of what was happening out there, to have some basis for, are we increasing bare soil or are we decreasing bare soil, which in a low rainfall period like we have, 10 to 12 inches annually, bare soil is our challenge. Here we are taking down that line transect and we're hitting it at every 2 feet. We're recording what we hit, bare soil, plant, what type of plant, and it's all handwritten. And then I developed this spreadsheet so that I could track what's happening. And what's important in this spreadsheet is the white area. White represents that we're not using cattle. And the critical area for us in southeast Colorado, where we've extended our growing season, is late March to the 1st of October. That's our growing season. It used to be May to September. But because of rotational grazing and what we've been able to do to extend our cool season grasses by longer rest periods, we now have an extended growing season. So the white represents rest. And in our business, longer rest periods is our goal. Not stocking rate, not number of cows on the ranch. It's can we achieve long rest periods that then allows us to pick how many units we put on the ranch. Today, we moved into the digital world. We keep everything with AgriWeb. We've used Pasture Map, working with the leased ranch with the Nature Conservancy. They like Pasture Map, so for the years we worked with them, we stayed on Pasture Map. But at home, we've been on AgriWeb, where we can take real-time data out in the pasture. We can plug it in off of our phone, or we can come back and we can work on the laptop and move cattle, plan pasture moves. But they're also increasing the amount of information about pasture management and things like that that help us. I was taking pictures with an SLR a minute ago, and now working with Billy Cook and Enriched Ag, we have a camera with dual high HD lenses on it. We mount it on the UTV, we mount it on the pickup, and when we go through a pasture to check water, put out salt, mineral, supplements, and then make a loop and evaluate, we get tremendous amount of data every 6 seconds. We get back, we upload it to them. They send us information about species composition mix, bare soil, any of the wildlife we got a picture of, any of the livestock. They'll let us know what the body condition score. I mean, we're seeing it, but it's interesting to compare it with a third party. This is an example of one trip that I took in a smaller pasture in the lower left, just checking water, and that it vastly exceeds a 100-foot line transect. And that's an example of the beginning of the data we get back from them. In the last 2 years, we've incorporated vents in southeast Colorado to build fence across that type of picture there. Open country, no trees, no rocks. That's $10,000 for 4-wire barbed wire fence. We live in an environment that has enough elk, deer, antelope, that when we've tried tape or electric fence, it's somebody's permanent job 2 or 3 times a day to go fix the fence. And that's just not a family decision that we want to have as a responsibility. We studied with these guys for a couple of years before I finally told them, yes, let's pull it and let's do it. So on 25,000 acres, we're running 300 cows. We're breaking up 7,000 acre pastures into 4 new pastures. And what we needed to do on this particular operation was keep them off the cream. In those 7,000 acre pastures, they kept returning to the blue grandma, constantly going back to the blue grandma. Yet we had some shale barren areas. We needed them to spend some time in there. There's some valuable forage there. It may not be as highly nutritious, but it would do the job. This is the tool that we found is the one that we can trap them in that area and extend the rest period to these better parts of the pasture. As Sam was saying, we've been working on grazing management plans, and again, if you don't know where you stand, what's your baseline, where are you at, how do you begin to hit that 385 million acres involved in a written grazing management plan? So we worked with Trust in Food, which is a product of Farm Journal, and they did a survey for us. And our baseline today is we're 11%, approximately 44.1 million acres that are under written grazing management plans. But 50% of the producers have a grazing management plan, but it's in their head. It's not written down. Oh, I may have hit 2. No. But of those ranchers that are using a grazing management plan, whether it's in their mind or on paper, they're actually assessing it and making decisions on it and making use of it. And how often? Monthly, weekly, quarterly? We're probably a monthly. But what we're also doing at the same time that we're assessing that written grazing management plan, we're in our drought mitigation plan. And we've had a written and effective drought mitigation plan since 2003. And it has saved us since. We lost so much money in 2003 when we went to central Kansas because we didn't have a plan. We panic sold, we made panic decisions, and we lost hundreds of thousands of dollars. Since then, no drought has really bothered us. We're prepared for it, we're a year ahead of it. But that plan is discussed by the family every year, and it's ongoing through the year as we watch changes in our available forage. So it's an active document, not a static document. And this one was interesting because part of the land use that Sam was talking about involves succession planning. And for the producers that have the most active grazing management plan, they also have the most active plan for succession. Another one where we need to know where we are and manage from something that we measure was genetics. And so we've done an analysis of our cow herd. By every young female that comes in as a replacement heifer, we pulled tissue samples on them so that we now have a baseline look at what our DNA profile is, so that when Brady and Aaron go to buy bulls, they have a real idea where we are with wean and weight, where are we with yearling weight. But for us, it's maintenance of energy, it's fertility, it's stability of heifers in the herd because we're a maternally driven herd. And they can target the selection of their bulls using the DNA from the purebred breeder to match our herd to make progress. What I see coming for us is a very high marketability to be able to hand over that genetic profile to potential buyers of our steers and potential buyers of our heifers, that this is the probability of the quality you're going to get. This is just an example of during our branding and our spring work, we're also pulling tissue samples and then our agent source verification with Red Angus and IMI Global. And we've talked a lot about efficiency, and this is one that I cannot stress enough. There is no more efficient animal than every cow on every ranch calves a live calf. And in our operation, we expect 97% of those cows to bring a calf to branding. And then from branding to weaning, 99% of them. USDA did a survey in their last long-term 10-year cycle. 85% of the nation's cow herd is the only, 15% do not bring a calf to weaning. That's just unacceptable in the conversations we've been having here about methane. How can we have 15% of cows inefficient out there eating, not producing a product, but still involved in our methane discussion? So the low-hanging fruit is some level of efficiency from the cow-calf side and the stocker side. So thank you. Remember, these are the guys that are out there, and they're going to hear from me, and they're going to hear from others. They're not going to have the chance to sit and listen here, and it's a valuable resource to sit and be here. But they're the ones that are going, is this going to keep me in business, or is this going to challenge my business? What's this climate thing mean for my family and the young ones that I want to come back on the ranch with? So thank you for considering them. Thank you for keeping them in your heart.